You just had an amazing conversation with the potential client. They were engaged, asked great questions, and you could tell they were excited about what you do. You're thinking they're going to sign up. Then you hear those dreaded words, I need to think about it, and your heart sinks. If that's ever happened to you, you get a lot of value out of this video because I'm going to tell you why this happens, and I'm going to tell you about the 2 things you need to do to get past it. Most people only tell you about one of them. I'm Nicole Piper, and I've helped over 1,000 health and wellness professionals build profitable online businesses. Before that, I spent 29 years building global brands like MTV, Nickelodeon, and Pokemon. And I can tell you that I need to think about it is one of the most misunderstood phrases when you're trying to sell your services. So let's break down what's actually happening. Most people hear I need to think about it and interpret it as a no. They think the person isn't interested, or they think they did a bad job on the call. But I need to think about it often means I don't trust you or what you're saying enough to commit. That's it. It's not a full-on rejection. It's a trust gap. And once you see it that way, you realize this isn't a dead end. It's something you can actually fix. But to fix it, you need 2 things working together. You need the right structure. By that I mean a way to build people's trust in you over time. And you need the right messaging, because what you say at every step is what does the trust building work. Miss either one of those and you'll keep hearing I need to think about it. So setting this up the right way comes down to understanding how people buy, because not everyone buys the same way. And if your marketing isn't set up for how people actually make buying decisions, no amount of structure or messaging is going to fix it. I like to explain buying psychology using a dating analogy because it makes this really easy to understand. So Tinder and Match are 2 popular dating apps. Tinder is designed more for people who want to make a fast decision. You see a photo, you swipe. If there's mutual interest, you exchange a couple of messages, then plan a meeting, and then assuming that goes well, things often accelerate pretty quickly from there. The whole thing can happen in a matter of days. Match is different. Profiles are more in-depth. You spend time reading about someone before you reach out. You message back and forth for a while. Maybe you have a call, then you meet for coffee. If there's mutual interest, you go on an actual date, then another one. That process can take weeks or even months. Tinder is for fast buyers. Match is for slower buyers. Neither one is wrong. It's just that the buyer intent is different. Now, when it comes to marketing your health or wellness business, roughly speaking, here's how any audience breaks down. So about 50% of the people who come across your marketing are non-buyers. So they're just not the right fit, it's the wrong problem, wrong timing, wrong situation, whatever it is, you can just forget about them. They were never going to buy, and that's okay. Of the remaining 50%, maybe 2 to 3% are fast buyers. These are your Tinder people. They see your content, they immediately resonate with it and book a call, and then they're ready to go. They don't need a lot of convincing. They just need to know you can help, and they're in. So that leaves about 48% who are interested, but they need more time. These are your match people. They want to get to know you first. They need more touch points. They need to see more proof that you understand their problem. They need to gain confidence that investing in your program is going to be worth it. And here's the key insight. When someone says, I need to think about it, they're almost always in that 48%. They're not saying no. They're saying, I'm not there yet. So what does this mean for your business? Well, it means if your entire marketing system is designed to convert the 2 to 3% fast buyers, you're leaving the vast majority of your potential clients on the table. And that's exactly what many marketing strategies do. They're built around one model. Get someone's attention and get them on a call as fast as possible and close them. If they don't buy, move on to the next one. That model is designed for Tinder speed, and it works for the tiny percentage of people who are ready to buy right now. And the other 48%, so these are the people who need more time, they fall through the cracks. They say, I need to think about it, and they never hear from you again. And eventually they either find someone else who took the time to build trust with them, or they give up on finding help altogether. That's a massive missed opportunity, because those slower buyers are often your best clients. They've done their research, they thought it through, and when they commit, they are fully committed. They show up, they do the work, and they get the results. So what do you do about it? Well, like I said, you need 2 things. Let's start with the first one, the structure. So you need a structure that serves both buying speeds. The slower buyers need 3 things from you. First, they need more proof that you understand their problem. Now, in this case, I don't mean more testimonials or more credentials. I mean they need to hear you talk about their problem in a way that makes them think, this person approaches things differently. That's what I call your pixie dust positioning, the perspective shift that shows you understand the problem at a deeper level than anyone else they've encountered. Second, they need more touch points over time. This is where email becomes so important. When someone isn't ready to buy today, you need a way to stay in their world. You need to continue sharing valuable insights and perspectives that deepen their trust in you. Every email they open and think, that's helpful, or I never thought about it that way, is a deposit in the trust bank. And eventually the bank account is full enough for them to say yes. And third, they need a lower risk way to experience your work first. This is where a strategic offer sequence makes a huge difference. Instead of asking the slower buyers to jump straight into your $3,000 program, you give them a smaller step they can take right now. Maybe it's a mini book for $17. Maybe it's a workshop for $47. Something that lets them experience your thinking, see your perspective in action, and build confidence in you without having to make a big commitment. Once they've taken that first step and seen the value, the next step doesn't feel like a leap anymore. It feels like the obvious thing to do. So that's the structure. Now let's talk about the second thing. And this is the part most people miss, and that's every step has to do the trust building work. Because having the right structure isn't enough on its own. Let me go back to the dating analogy for a second. Think about two people on Match. Both have great photos, both live in your area, and on the surface, they both seem like they have potential. But one of them wrote a profile that makes you think, I have to meet this person. They say something that made you feel like you could really be a good match. So maybe they have similar interests and described exactly the kind of relationship you've been looking for, or they said something specific and real that made you feel like you're aligned on the things that matter most to you. Now the other person looks good, but their profile is weak. They haven't said anything that makes you feel like you'd be a good match. So you either have to do the work to try and figure that out, or you just keep scrolling. Your marketing works the same way. You could have the mini book, the email sequence, the mid-tier offer, the whole structure in place. But if what you're saying isn't changing how people see their problem, people will read it and think, I've heard that all before, and move on. But when your messaging introduces a new perspective, when it helps people understand why they're still stuck and shows them something about their problem they didn't know, it makes them think this person really gets it. And by the time they're ready to take the next step, they're not thinking about it anymore. They already know, and I need to think about it doesn't even come up because you've already built the trust. That's the difference between a marketing system that looks right and one that actually works. The structure gets people in the door, but it's what you say that builds the trust. Okay, let me summarize what we've covered here. The next time someone says, I need to think about it, remember this. It's a trust gap, not a rejection. And closing that gap takes two things: a structure that gives people a path to build trust with you over time, and messaging that actually does the trust building at every step along that path. Now, if you can get both of those working together, you stop being dependent on that tiny 2 to 3% of fast buyers. You build a system that works for how people actually make decisions, and you fill your programs with clients who are genuinely ready because they already trust you. Now, building this kind of system is what my trust-based marketing method is all about. It's a process I developed specifically for health and wellness professionals based on what I learned helping over 1,000 of them build their online businesses. It starts with validating your offer, making sure there's real demand for what you want to focus on before you invest any time or money building everything out. And as part of that process, you find gaps. You find underserved parts of your audience that give you a golden opportunity to focus on. Now, step 2 is about showing people what makes you different from every other coach out there. You do this with your pixie dust positioning, so that unique insight that makes people see you as the obvious choice. And step 3 is choosing the right marketing path. So figuring out the structure that fits your situation, your budget, and how you actually want to run your business. And that includes building a system that works for both the fast buyers and the 48% who need a little more time. I wrote a mini book that walks you through the whole method. There's a link to it in the description. If this video changed the way you think about the people who say I need to think about it, give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I share marketing strategies specifically for health and wellness professionals who want to build profitable online businesses. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.